November marks Global Disability Awareness Month. This year's theme is removing barriers to create an inclusive and accessible society for all. And following that theme, the University of Johannesburg Art Gallery has launched a special exhibition to help the blind. The curator of the UJ Art Gallery, Annali Cabano-Dempsey, joins me now from Johannesburg. Thanks very much for your time. So tell me, how does the blind alphabet, which is the name of this exhibition, I believe, work to subvert the traditional privilege of the sighted community?
The artist Willem Bosworth is a very clever man, and he normally works with hidden messages. And he uses the most obvious of communication methods to do that, namely language. The man writes dictionaries for whatever pleasure he finds out of it. And then he takes very difficult English words, and the disadvantage will have to describe it to the advantage. In the case of the blind alphabet, he made, I think, almost 400 pieces of sculpture that he made up to now. They're all made of different kinds of wood. They are placed on a black plinth and covered with a mesh. And on top of the mesh is a aluminium plate with Braille script. So only the blind people can read the blind script, read this difficult word and the explanation for it, and explain to the sighted person. Because when people go into a gallery, they're not supposed to touch anything. You always see these little boards up, no touching, don't climb on the sculpture sort of thing. But the blind are allowed to do so. The visually impaired are the advantaged in this case. Now, the blind alphabet started with the letter A in the 1990s. And he's now at the letter L. They're all part of chapters, like he would call them part of chapters of a book. Each letter is a chapter, and each object within a or a B or a C will be a page in a book. So we don't actually have the works on exhibition at this stage at the UJ Art Gallery because COVID-19 happened. And we couldn't move the artworks at the time that we should have. And then, like most museums and galleries all over the world, we went online, but in a big way. Then we decided to work with Willem Bosworth in a documentary fashion, explain what the blind alphabet is about, show it to people who are sighted without changing on the basic concept. And added to that, we had Dr. Jaco Meyer, a contemporary music composer. He wrote dedicated music for each of the blind alphabet sculptures in the letter B, the first 40 ones. And he, in fact, mimicked the shape and the form and the texture of the wooden objects to enhance the experience of the visually impaired when interacting with the artworks. Now, he furthermore added voiceovers, which explains the content of the work, and eventually QR codes will be added to the physical artworks where the sound and information can be accessed through cellular technology. And that exhibition will be exhibited at the gallery during October, November next year.
It's such an incredibly interesting concept, but in general, it seems that access to art, to expression, to culture is reserved for those fortunate enough not to live with challenging disabilities, while those with disabilities still face massive challenges just in terms of accessing the very basics of life. So how important do you think a level playing field is in attaining quality of life and, more importantly, self-actualization for those living with disabilities?
You know, so it's interesting. Information tends to come up to you once you start focusing on a subject. And we've heard that question that you have asked now so many times, and coming from visually impaired people. At a university, obviously, we allow and make special provisions for people who are impaired in any way. But one guy, he's a Braille script editor. His name is Abel Mkonazi. And he's a most gentle man, and he said a very interesting thing, and that is that we need education from a very young age. Not only for the sighted, but also for the visually impaired. It's a concept that offers so many opportunities for us to not only understand the impairment of another person, but also within a social construct, all the things that went wrong and how we can right it, and that it has to start at a very young age. We don't have art education at school all that much anymore, but I think that is, number one, a very creative way of or giving students or learners an opportunity to have creative thought developed, but it also gives them insight to think about problems and how to get solutions to that.
Well, thank you very much. And for those of you out there who want to get involved in the various exhibitions at the UJ Art Gallery, you can have a look at their online platform, and especially also at the Moving Cube, free exhibitions for those. And also you can see that the alphabet word. The blind alphabet, apologies. That was Annali Cabano-Dempsey, the curator of the UJ Art Gallery, speaking to us.